Okay, hey, today we're in Car Mechanic Simulator 2021, and you can see my garage is empty. All my vehicles are in storage and I have no project cars. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a barn. I just got a barn from a client car. Sometimes when you do client cars randomly, you'll get these chests. When you open them, it gives you an array of cards to choose from. You choose two of those cards. One of them may be a barn find location. I happen to just get one. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through the process of restoring a car in this game. We'll see what kind of cars are available there, and we'll also rummage for some parts. And probably another box. Almost every time I've been to a barn, they've had another treasure chest box. So, loading up the barn, we end up in maybe. Yep. So you can see we've already got something pretty promising right there. So you just look around, you can see the. This is the barn location. This is a smaller one, it looks like. We'll see. It goes a little ways that way. So I always go around the corner and just methodically go through the place. So I'll start out here. This might be useful. The rest of this, not really. It's kind of junk. You can't repair exhaust sections, so there's no reason to buy that. You can't repair lighting, no reason to get those, or seats, so no reason to get that. These are pretty low percentage things. And then you just kind of wander around, and when you see a junk pile, you hover over it and search. That engine block is awesome, but it's too low. You can't repair that. Basically 15% is about the cutoff. I could repair this, but don't really need it. It's not going to be worth much money. Everything else in this pile is junk that I don't really need. Through this one. This engine head might be useful. Crankshafts are always good. That's in decent shape. I can repair that, and you can always sell that. Too bad that's a little bit too low. I'm running out of those in inventory. So we just keep moving along. Rims are cool if they're big enough to repair. I can repair that. That was an M77, so that's a BMW, I think. None of the rest of this is worth it. More junk right here. There's another car. So we can restore this. We can restore that. And this. And that's about it. I don't think any of this is worth it. The controller cover, maybe, but probably not. Some of these things are so cheap that it's really not worth digging them up. I'm going to look at this car in a minute. I want to finish off the junk piles through here. Definitely take that. Anything green is almost always a good option to take. I think that's it for junk. So let's look at what this car is. It's not really, there's no info page on it, so usually there's an info page, so I'm just going to look over the vehicle and see what it needs. Needs a lot of stuff. You saw those red and low digit numbers. It's going to require a lot of work, and I don't know if I want to do it on a car like this. Sometimes, though, it's worth just buying the car. So I'm going to go off of it. Sometimes it's worth just buying the car and doing minimal restoration and selling it as a, kind of a clunker car. Did I look through this stuff? I did. But even that I don't think is worth it on this. Yeah, I don't really want to dig up like tires and wheels and a bunch of other stuff for this, so I'm going to skip this car. This one over here, though, looks pretty promising. Let's Can't fix steering wheel, so that's kind of pointless. Ram 3500. I don't really see those much. All right, I think I'm just gonna have to have a look-see. I wonder why it's not letting me look at the. I mean, I can already tell. So this is an upmarket hood. So the engine's probably really cool. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's not in great shape, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of middling. Not really sure what this is. I wish it would. I don't know. They must have changed something because it used to come up with info. Oh, duh, yeah. So Plymouth Barracuda, that's a great car. I do have the Dodge Plymouth DLC. So yeah, I'm gonna totally buy this car. It can have just the one engine. I didn't really inspect too much of it, but at this point I don't care because I am going to definitely, and it's pretty cheap, so I am definitely going to buy this car, and we'll send it to the garage, and then we'll make sure we've gone through all the junk piles. This might be useful later. Not really though. I don't really do that. The Reptilia is their Chevy Corvette ripoff for the game. When I do those, I always soup them up, so I do 100% restorations too. You can't restore headlights, so nothing really good in here. This is one of those bread and butter items you can always use. 24-inch RAM, that's gigantic. I don't think any of this is, the rest of this is stuff that I need. There's a lot of V12 parts. It's really wanting me to do a Viper. As far as I know, it's the only vehicle you can do a V12 in the DLCs that I have. Too small. This is cool. It's their, what would you call it? Like a C10 or Ford 100 pickup truck. Nope, none of that's useful. Maybe there's another car back around here. Nothing there that I want. Chrysler 300 headlight, but again, if I'm going to restore one of those, it's going to be to 100%, so those little parts aren't going to, those less than 100 parts aren't going to help. 20-inch retro, that's still a really large rim. I'll take it though. None of the rest of this. Nope. This is cool. So this is obviously the Nova, Chevy Nova, kind of rip off. These are fun. I've already done a couple of them, but they have a lot of engine swap options. So funny enough, you can shove a Hemi in these. So I might take it anyway, because this is one of those cars where you can do the minimum and make pretty decent money on them. So I'm not even going to inspect it. I'm just going to buy it. Yeah, it's super cheap. So we'll send that one to the garage. And here's our treasure chest. Take that. This might be useful. I guess that it's a Jaguar. I forgot the Jaguar has V12s. This is too broken to fix. So I think that's it for that. So there you go. That was our barn search. Every barn I've been in had 3 cars. So that's why I was like wondering why it felt like there weren't enough cars. Did I look through this? Yeah. Okay. So now that we've got our cars to restore, we're going to do that Barracuda for sure. So we can go back to the garage. This stuff's going to cost us $2,500. That's pretty cheap. So we'll buy all these parts. The other places you can buy junk cars are at the scrap auction. So the wrecker auction or whatever, that's open all the time. So when you're at the map, you just go to the auctions, and there'll be both these cars run and a beat to hell cars. That one's cool because you get to choose, but on the flip side, you're going to pay top price pretty much every time. You can also go to the junkyard. Where's that at? Over here. And there's usually cars there, but in general, they are low grade, so they won't be higher end vehicles, but they are junkers, so they're pretty cheap. So we'll go there really quick. I'll just show you. I'm not going to do the auctions. Auctions are fun though, because at least you know what you're getting. So there's randomness, but it's a big list of cars once you get there. So maybe we'll go there just so I can show it. So once it loads up, you look around. All these junk piles have stuff in them. So you see a pile of stuff like this, you can go up and search through it. I don't spend a lot of time doing this at the junkyard. The stuff is random, but it's almost always really low percentage. So I don't really bother that often. But you'll see cars like I was talking about the Corvette ripoff. That's what this is. So here's your Tilia. See what it looks like. I've done a couple of those now, and then a lot of client cars that come in are those. So I've worked on them many times. After a while it gets old doing the same cars. This looks pretty cool. This is kind of their Ferrari. So yeah, it's part of a DLC, but I don't remember which one. I think it's the drag pack. So this is their Ferrari ripoff. It's a pretty cool looking car. I don't think I've actually done one, but I'm not, I have the drag racing, but I don't really go there and race very much. And then you just see these piles of cars you can't do anything with. They're just there for the looks of the thing. But around in different areas of the junkyard, you'll see more cars. There's another one there that you can look at and possibly buy. So, yeah, this kind of I want to say Mazda, but it's more of like a Honda or Nissan. Kind of like a Honda, the early Civics and Accords, the two-door Accords. So anyway, there's the junkyard. Then we go back. I'm not buying anything there. It's usually not worth it. Not later in the game. Early in the game, it's worth going there. A lot of your customer fix-it jobs will want minimal parts, so they want cheap stuff. They don't want to spend the money for brand new stuff. And then the other one is the auction. So we'll go there. And I'll just show you the junk auction. The other auction is all those cars are operable, but they're not always in 100% shape. So you can buy the salvage cars, and then it's pretty cool because then you get a list. So this is obviously a Nissan Z, probably I don't know, it kind of looks like the 350, but it might be the 240. And then, yeah, there's some just generic. This is the Salem pickup truck I was talking about. So I've done most of these. So this is the Trans Am ripoff. There's a Jaguar. I've done one of those. It was a lot of fun. I've done a couple of Jeeps now, both the civilian and the military. They're actually in my collection, as is, I don't think this Jaguar is, but I do have one of the other ones. So there's some pretty cool stuff. You can see with the DLCs that they throw in DLC cars. All of these, when you click on them, so we'll look at this Hellcat just for giggles. You can see they're in terrible shape. So these are all salvage vehicles. So they'll be missing body parts. They'll either be missing the engine or have most of the engine gone. This is a rare one. The engine looks to be intact. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like this. And as you go through the list, this was a fun one to build. I think it has a 12 in it. There's a Challenger RT, one of my favorite cars. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff. I just did one of these, so now I have an RX-3 in my collection. This is obviously a Superbird ripoff. I have the Aston Martin DLC, so there's a couple of those that I really liked doing. I just did a DB5. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. I may, if we have if we have time and I think about it, we may look at my garage. I have my parking. I gotta leave like this. So we're gonna go back. The regular auctions are the same thing, it's just they're more intact. So let's see. So if I look at my parking, you can see I have several cars. So the Bolt Cargo, it's showing the generic version, but I actually have it outfitted so it looks like the A-Team van. There's a Willys, I have the Mercedes Gullwing, the DBS. I actually drag raced this a couple times. This one was fun. I just liked having a pink Cadillac. Here's the Charger RT. I love those cars. RX-3 is a lot of fun. There's a military one. There's the James Bond car. And I just like station wagons, and this one's a Woody wagon, so that's pretty cool. This one's totally souped up, so it's a sleeper. It's producing, 701 horsepower. So that's about 50% over what the factory number was for this. So that was really cool. That was fun to do. But anyway, all right. So I'm going to show you the process of restoring a car. I'm going to put both of these in the shop, but we're probably just going to work on that one. So first thing I do is car wash them. So if you look at this car, you can see here's the value if I sell it. I'm already at profit, right? So did pretty good buying this one. If I wash it, usually the price will go up a little bit, a couple $100. So you wash it and you can actually see the body's in really good shape. And then I usually wash the interior just because I can, it costs nothing. So this is pretty neat already. And then, gotta wait for it. And then we can see it didn't really go up that much, but it's already got a high sell value. And I really don't feel like working on this car, so I might just take the profit as is, not even try to find wheels for it. I'm just going to get rid of it. So I'm going to sell this car. Just take the cash. All right, now let's get a little more serious. So we're going to do this, and I'm also going to, if we're going to bother doing this car, we obviously have to fully tune it as well. So that's what we're going to do. Let's take it over to the car wash. Get it cleaned up. I'm probably going to sell all the interior and redo it, but I'm going to clean it anyway. You can see the body's actually in really surprisingly great shape. So there won't be a lot of work to do there. So let's see what the value is here. Wow, it's already profitable in a pretty decent way. So early in the game you won't see those kind of profits right off the bat, but you will see a couple grand is pretty normal. So let's put it up here. We'll open up the hood so we can look. The engine is horrible, but that's okay because we were basically going to totally rebuild it anyway. So first thing I do, lift it off the ground. It's only going to go this far because you're just lifting it up. If you're working, you can still work on the engine from here, so you can still get down in the engine compartment and do stuff. The first thing I usually do is drain the oil and look at the underside. Because sometimes you'll have an engine, but it'll be missing an oil pan, in which case there's no point draining the oil because there isn't any. But to get the engine out, we have to take this trans and this drive shaft off. And starter's already gone, it looks like, and then this pipe will have to go, so we might as well just do that now because it's in the way. So we'll just take a few of these things off, and I'll shove the oil pan under here and we'll drain that. You spray to loosen bolts, that's part of the game here, so this will come off now. So if the bolts are rusty, they will show as such. Now you don't have to, but I usually take this stuff off here because you'll see in a minute that when this stuff is on when the engine is on the what the hell is it called? The engine rack thing, whatever it's called. But when it's on there, it's this stuff's kind of shoved back up against it. It's hard to get to. So, all right, so we've got all that done. Before we put it down, we'll shove the oil pan under there. That's over here. A lot of times what I will do is I'll have two cars going at once, and so I'll take the engines out, go work on those, bring them back, put them back in, and then do all of the suspension and everything else, and move that. So, all right, we're ready to pull that engine. We drain the oil. We disconnected the rest of the drivetrain from it. In the early game, you can't use the engine puller, so you have to work on it in the car. That is perfectly doable, but it's kind of a pain. So I try not to have to do that. It's far easier and faster to disassemble an engine with using the hoist here and then putting it on the so now it's out. You can see the engine is gone. I'll leave this here because we're going to come back to it. This one, let's see what kind of shape the body is in the 70s, so mostly good. I may not bother fixing the bodywork. I may leave it and not even paint it. I think it looks good as it is. I'm just going to put the engine back in after we soup everything up. So I don't need to use this. This fixes the framing. So everything you can't pull off as a body part, you use this to fix it. It does it all by itself. You don't have to actually work on it. This is the battery charger. So if you have batteries that aren't charged, you do them there. And then here's the engine stand. So I'm going to put this engine on this stand, and voila. Really easy to work on from here. Another thing that I do, I have, as you upgrade the shop, you get these different things. So I like to fix up that stuff, those rotors. So I'll start stripping this engine down. So this is going to need replacement, so I'm going to mark it. So here's some tips to speed things up. These things you can't fix. You're always going to have to replace them. Put it in your inventory. I just pushed X before you remove it. Whoops. And then do the same with this one and remove it. These, I keep a bunch of them on hand because they're a common replacement item. We're going to replace the alternator with a tuned one. So I'm going to mark that. After playing the game for a little while, you get to know which items are available in that tuning shop. This is another one, the PS pump. So you pull this off, right? And then we're not going to need this. Some of these you can fix, so I'm not going to buy versions. I'm going to see if I can fix them first. Like that, I'll have to buy. I should have marked it. This I will have to buy because you can't fix those. There's little things like that you learn that you end up having to buy them. So we get this water pump off. There's no tuned version of a water pump, and it's a fixable item. So we take this off. Actually, the client car I just did had this same engine in it. The timing change, you don't get to fix those, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it, put it on my list. The cam gear, I should have some of those in inventory, but if not, it's okay. And we'll take this apart. I need to take the wires off. You have to buy those, so that's in the tuning shop. And then to get this off, I need to get to that clip right. Maybe it doesn't have one. Is it missing the clip on this side? Looks like it is. All right, so again, mark that item because we're going to have to buy one. That because we're going to have to buy one. That because we're going to have to buy one. Okay. So that's pretty much everything on the front. And now we're working on the sides. So let's get this cover off. This is just a standard item. We're going to need a tuner filter, so we're going to mark that. This bottom plate, get rid of it. And then we're going to, same with these. So we are going to buy tuner versions of these. So that last engine I worked on was the same engine, but the single carb. Oops. So now we can get this out of here. Oh, it was the other Henry, so it's not quite the same engine, but it's close. Alright, so I should have marked that because we're going to buy one of those. Some of this stuff I'll just remember it, or it'll come up when we get to that point. So we have to pull the rocker arms off. Luckily, these are not individual ones. They come in a unit, which is great, because doing 16 of those is not fun. You're already going to see, I'm going to mark a spark plug because we're going to need a set of those. These things, the push rods, also a pain. Because there's just so many of them. Every cylinder has 2, right? So, and it's just a tedious touch and hold, and then the installation process is basically the reverse of that. So this head, actually, this head, I need to remember to mark it. So this is, that's going to get replaced. All these pistons are going to get replaced. We won't be able to get those out until we get underneath though. And then, okay, so get this cover off. And these rockers. So basically, pulling parts is just a matter of holding your mouse button. So, and then the little spin wheel, and in the beginning this is a really slow process, and over time as you play the game you improve it, you get faster and faster. So I marked that because we're of course going to buy one of these, and now we're down to the cylinder head. So we'll spin this to get underneath it, take this oil pan off. I'm going to show you a couple things before we get to working on fixing up these parts. So now we're inside. You can see the crankshaft here and each of the pistons. These pistons, they're all black and grody. That's because they're in terrible shape. So they're going to have to be replaced. So I usually just remove them one at a time like this. Pistons cannot be repaired, but we're going to add souped up ones anyway, so it doesn't matter. But all these little rod caps and whatever these are called, the keepers, the bearing caps, they are all fixable. So when we go over to the repair table, we'll see how that works. That's something that comes kind of later in the game, but not too far. It's a skill you have to build up, so you start out having 0 skill and you get better and better at doing it. The camshaft up there, that can come out. I should have marked it though because we can buy one of those. That's okay. Some of this stuff, I'll show you the process of marking them as you're doing your install for things, that's the way I usually do it when I'm just doing repairs. Because on repair jobs, you kind of have to hunt around and figure out what's wrong to fix it. So now we got everything off of here, and then we just take the whole engine block off because we're going to go fix it. So before we do that, let me go to a toolbox. Toolboxes are how you upgrade in this game. They're all the same, but here's all the upgrades. So as you get your skill points, and then you assign them, right? So I choose this one and add to it, and then this one's going to cost 5. I have 11, so I'll add to it, and then this one's probably going to cost the last 6. So there you go, all the skills. I haven't worried about running around because I just hold down the shift key, so I run. But now I should be moving pretty fast. So I'm going to keep building up skill points as the game, because you can, as you level. But it's not going to do me any good anymore. Then the other thing is your shop. So here's all the expansions and tools that you can add. You can see I have everything, but as you gain levels, you get access to buy these upgrades. The order that you do them in is kind of dictated by the game. So you have some freedom of choice as to which one you might do before another. But in the end, I don't think it matters that much. Like, you're going to get access to this relatively early, but you're not going to be able to do much with it because your skill is going to be garbage. So that's the... where's the skill for that? Up here. So you're not even going to have access to that for a while. So some of these things, it's worth waiting until you can get the skills, but to get the diagnostic skills as fast as you can afford them, because these are super useful. The tablet makes things faster. You'll see that as we progress. Yeah, so this is one of the repair benches. That's all of these over here. And then this repairs bodywork. So the bodywork that we bought earlier, that's what is in here for if we want to repair it. Over here, what it shows you, and the others works the same, you'll see. This is the level it's at. If you are successful, this is where it will be. If you fail, this is where it will be. So if I pick this item up and I start repairing it, and I successfully get in the green, it is now at 100%. I'm going to fail this one on purpose, and you'll see that it drops to, see, and then the next fail is going to drop to 10%, so I won't be able to fix it at all. This little mini game is kind of neat, but it gets super tedious because you do it so much. So you'll see over here, there's going to be a ton of parts, right? It's a lot of stuff to go through. This is stuff that we pulled off the car and stuff that we collected, what we bought. So it's just going to be kind of a slog to do all of these over and over. But some of these parts are just either worth having on hand or you can sell them for pretty decent money. The fixed price, this right here is what it costs you to fix this. So to fix this, we'll get it to 100%. It's going to cost us 51 credits. That's cheap because that's, what is this, rim 39, so it's one of the generic rims. So it's probably about 200 credits to buy it, somewhere in there. So that, yeah, that's a pretty substantial bonus right there. Some items take a couple of tries because of how much, so you just watch the on success. So this will take 2 fixes. This is an expensive rim, so it's going to cost a lot of credits to fix, but we're still going to be getting it at probably about 75% of purchase price now. So you just go through all of these. Try not to fall asleep and try to hit the green every time. If you hit one of the grays and nothing happens, I just let you do it again. So, whoops, I actually missed. So if I hit, damn it, if I hit a gray spot, it just says try again, see? And then it just changes the pattern and you go again. So usually I aim for one of these end ones, just because the timing is pretty easy. That's not always the case. And then I try to go for a safe zone. So I try to go for, like, this is a nice safe one, right? So I try to hit in the middle of a green setup or a safe zone like that. So a safe one because you have a neutral on one side and another green on the other. I just go through and just try to be quick about this. It's pretty tedious after you've done it 1,000 times, which is probably how many times I've done it at this point. I wish that you could bypass this, just pay the money and have it fixed. That should be a plug-in to be able to avoid some of these. That should be an option. There's probably a mod, but I don't often install mods on games like this. I will mod up Skyrim and games like that all day, but games like this I'm just not really. It often detracts from the gameplay in some ways, and then I kind of want the achievements on games like this because that's the replayability, is to keep building those achievements. So yeah, we're almost done here, fixing some brake calipers. Brakes are always good to have on hand. There's a lot of things that you should just have on hand if you can, because they're just common items that everything has. So with brakes, anything under 50%, I always fix it. So now when we go back here, our engine is still primed on here, so I don't have to reinstall it. There's another tip. And then you go to the install stuff, and then you grab your engine block. Now it's been all fixed up. You shove the crankshaft back in, it's at 100%, and then I only do this because this is what you do in real life, and I've actually done this in real life, so I put the bearing caps in first to hold them in place. I don't think I've ever called them bearing caps. I think they always had a different name. We always called them something else. Maybe we just called them caps. Anyway, I don't think I have a filter to go there, so I'm going to put that in inventory. I already did these, and I don't remember if I did a flywheel, so I'll just do it now. We're going to need one of these. Alright, I think we're ready. Let's go shopping. So here's a cool thing. Normally, I'll show you. Normally you have to go back over to the computer, all the way over here, and do your shopping. That's a giant pain. It's a lot of walking. So what I do is, even when you're still in here and you're in I'm building mode, you can push, or not the tab, you can push the right button, go to your tablet, and boom, you have access. That is really cool. Here's all the stores. So I haven't shown you this, obviously. So here's the regular car parts store, tune-up parts, bodywork, body, tuned body, if there are available. Most of the DLCs, there's no tuned body parts available. Tires, wheels, interiors, license plates. What I do, I live in Wyoming, so I just buy Wyoming plates in a big batch of like 20 or something, and then I just put Wyoming plates on everything that I build for me. Electronics, so this is all your wiring, your control units, all that stuff. This is accessories, so like roof racks and stuff like that, spoilers, whatever. The custom gearbox shop, this is new, fairly new. So you can upgrade the gearbox. This is one of the things I haven't done much with because it's fairly new. But you can, instead of reinstalling the transmission, you can come here and get a way better one. We'll be doing that on this car, I think. So once you're in the shop, you bring up your shopping list like this. So serpentine belts are not in here. The power steering pump is, so we'll buy that. And then bring our list back up. Delete that off our list and keep going. The timing chain alternator, that's in here. Like I said, after a while you just learn this is what is available as a tuner item and this is what is not. So ignition wires, distributor rotor, and the distributor, the air filter. So I'm going to show you the next thing. You see this number here? That's how much it boosts your tuning. So in other words, you need 2 of those for this particular engine. So in other words, oh, there's 2 different carburetors, so I just bought an extra for no reason. Which one did I buy? B? Alright, so I guess I have an extra one. I have a bunch of money, so I don't worry about this stuff anymore. Need 8 of these because it's a V8. So yeah, this number is how much it is going to boost your performance. Let me think about how this is relevant. So basically, the total that you can boost the car is the total amount of performance you can add to it. So if you have a 100 horsepower car and you can do 40% tuning, it is now a 140 horsepower car. It seems kind of... I'm going to need some Hemi rings for these. So it seems obvious, but it's important to know that just because there'll be customer orders where they say to tune the car to between like say 12, 10 or 15%. So you really have to watch these numbers and get to that tuning level. If you go over it, you fail the mission, or you can't even give the car back, and you have to start removing stuff. If you're under it, you obviously failed as well. So now I got to go to the other shop, the regular parts shop, and while I'm still thinking about it, so I don't forget, I need to buy some piston rings for those pistons I just bought. So go down to piston. Where's the rings? Here we go, and we need the Hemi ones. So right here, and we need 8 of those. So these are not a tuner item. And then we'll go back to our shopping list because we need this serpentine and this one. We need this replacement arm. We need a new timing chain and a filter. All right, so that's our shopping list. Now we can start installing things. So we'll go here first, because why not? So now we're gonna, I may have one of these already in, nope. So we need a clutch plate, which is another tuner item. And then we'll just start putting these together. I usually do them 2x2, because more or less that's how I do them in real life. Yeah, so, well, have done them. I haven't done this kind of thing in real life in a long time. It's not my... I enjoy doing it if I'm not under any kind of clock. Most of the time when you're doing it, you're under some kind of clock. And in the game, it makes it look way too easy. I forgot that, so I need to put that on the list. So, excuse me, just gonna go through and do all 8 of these. And then we're done on the bottom of the engine. We can put the pan back on and flip the engine over so we can work on the other side. Make it upright. All right, so that's the bottom of the engine done. And as long as we're here and I can see it, might as well do that. Now, rotate it back. And let's start working on the heads. Did I buy an oil filter? I did, or a fuel filter? I did not, so we'll mark that. All right, engine heads. Boom, you can see the tuned one. The other one will just sit in inventory, may or may not get used at some point. We did buy the special spark plugs, so we might as well put those in. That exhaust, you can see down there, we're gonna have to buy some of those. One of those. So, and then the valve push. We've got to put all these rods. That was the last one I had. So put that on the list because we're going to need to buy some. Put this on the list because we've got to buy that. And this is basically how I go through. Some of the things are easy to anticipate, so I just anticipate them. Some things like these, they can be refurbished, but I also just have a collection in my shop inventory because you use them so much, you might as well just have a bunch of them on hand. You can buy up to 50 at any given time of most items, so I just do that. Alright, so, I'm missing that one, that's why. So we're going to need one of these, and we have the spark plugs, so we'll drop the plugs in. We've already got the cone rods in. Or I mean the push rods, yeah. Intake manifold, we did not buy one of those, so let's do that. Alright, that I think brings us up to as far as we can go, so we go shopping again. So we need push rods. We need a bunch of these, so I'm just going to buy, I'll just buy the whole 50 because you use them all the time and you can't fix them. So exhaust manifold, that's that. All of these are tuner items, so we'll go to the tuners. We need one of these. We need that. I used to keep tuner filters on, oh, we need 2 of those, on hand, but After a while, it gets tedious going through your inventory when you're looking for the part you just took off to put the same part back on. And a lot of those things, like, you use them but you don't use them, so you kind of have to decide if you use them that often. I've done a lot of restorations where I'm basically just doing what would be considered a factory restore. So I'm doing it, making it stock rather than souped up. That's something that I think about for like truly classic cars. So I'll have to buy another one of those. That's what I did with that Mazda RX-3. I know it's a sports car, but I didn't want to make it a souped up sports car. It just felt like it should be original. I did that with a couple of the Jaguars and whatnot too. And then some of them, even original, they're still a souped up machine, so you might as well do the whole, right? So I do that. So you see what I was talking about. Now imagine you had to do these, and then you had to do each individual rocker to go over the top. It's hugely tedious, and the rockers have screws, so you have to click to put it on, and then click to put the screw in. It's super tedious. So you need one of those. So the souped up stuff is shiny stainless steel looking, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to have the plate to go over this pressure plate thing, and I don't have a souped up version of that. So again, put it on the list. So I think that brings us up to date to this point. We can put the camshaft in. And then I may have one of these. Yeah, I usually have, these are generic items, so I usually have a bunch of them on hand. Here we go. And we can put this cover back on. So I'm not clicking on each individual one. That's another tip. So to put the screws in, you have two choices. So I could click, or I can hold and just keep going. So you can just hold the thing down, hold the mouse button down, and just go around all the screws. To me, that's easier, so that's what I do. Sometimes you have to kind of bend your wrist in awkward ways to move the mouse far enough to get to some of the screws, so then I'll let go and go back and re-click, but not always. So I think that brings us up to date. All right, let's go buy some stuff. So let's see. This is a tuner item. The rest of this is not. So we go to that. I need two of those, right? Sometimes I get in a hurry clicking, oftentimes, and I don't notice the X2 on the end or the X5 or whatever. Some items are obvious. If you're buying spark plugs, it's an 8-cylinder engine, you're going to have 8 spark plugs. So I don't bother marking all 8. Or if it's a 8-cylinder engine, but you got to put these rods or the rockers on them, you have to go, okay, well, I'm doing all of that. It's an 8-cylinder engine, there's going to be 16 of them. You just either know that or you learn it pretty quick. So these I did individually, right? And then I'm going to show you another thing that I figured out. If you're on an angle like this, you can push several without having to move very far, just like that. That's another little thing that I've kind of learned to do a little bit, just because it's a way more, it's just way easier on your wrist in your potential carpal tunnel. These are close enough that it's pretty easy to just move the mouse around. So yeah, we're just putting everything back together. Gonna need one of these. Some of these items, you can fix them on some cars, but not on others. And I don't always remember what is what. So, all right, so this is, we're gonna put the shaker cover on it, which it didn't come with. So the car was missing that, if you remember. And then the ignition wires, we do have those. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that. Since I'm already up here on the engine build here on the rack, whatever it's called. I always forget the names for a lot of this stuff. So we should have bought these because we set this stuff up right at the beginning, you remember? Again, that's stuff that you learn playing the game. These things that just kind of end up becoming shortcuts. And then the last thing I do, oh, we got to put this on. But the last thing I do before I take the engine off here is, I keep a bunch of these on hand too, by the way, is I go around it like this. I'm still in the add mode, so I'm still in the part mount mode, so it shows you where stuff goes as you are looking. And this is to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I believe I put both clips on there. I miss those a lot, so I always double check that. Yeah, and I just make sure all the pieces are in place. So we look really good. I don't see anything that's ghosted, so that it says that we can add. So I think we're done with this. So the Hemi-Cuda, we can take it off the rack like that. And then while I'm in here, I'm gonna got plenty of garbage brakes to run. So we come back here and I'll just put it back in the car. And then we have to work on suspension. So if you have multiple engines in your inventory, if they fit in this car, they'll show up here, and you can choose between them. I've had a few. One thing that I wish this game had is the ability to buy a crate engine, because you do occasionally get a car that doesn't have an engine in it, or you'd like to swap it out with something else, but then you have to go hunt down or figure out the name of the block to put in it and stuff, and that could get confusing really fast. So you can see this. Excuse me. You can see this big, beautiful engine in here. Now we've got some accessories in the engine compartment to worry about. So first thing we should do is strip out this fuse box. Fuse boxes, the fuses are not, but the box itself is a repairable item. So we can refurbish this. It's missing its lid. They usually are when you buy the junkers. Now we'll go into add mode, and you can see all the stuff that isn't in here that should be. I don't think I have one of these in inventory, but I keep a bunch of these. Servos, that's what they call them. It's a master cylinder. Well, it's a, yeah, you know what it is. So anyway, I keep a bunch of those in inventory because they're literally the same in every single car, no matter what. Batteries, ditto. Because you'll be pulling junk batteries out, but you can just take them over to the charger and put them in. These are universal to cars in this game. There are separate kinds of radiators, so I don't tend to stock those. The windshield washer reservoir, looks like my stock is empty, but I usually stock those. I'll keep 20 or so. I usually buy about 20 at a time of these kind of items. And that's it for this car, as far as the engine compartment goes. So let's go ahead and get everything we need to take care of this, and we'll fix up the... So there's no tuner radiators, and this is a generic item, so I'm going to buy like 20 of them because... Okay, and then we'll go try to fix that fuse box. So we'll put these in place. And where's the other? That was, oh, the radiator, yeah. Like so. And then I'm using escape to exit those. There's other, I think you can right mouse button as well. So we're going to repair this. And that saved us the 100 and some to buy one of those. So we'll go and install that. I keep fuses on hand. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I hit the wrong button. I got button happy. I was working too fast. So this car is too old, so it doesn't have a controller or anything like that. As far as the more updated electronics. So I just keep a lot of these fuses. I buy 50 at a time. So when I run out, I'll go in, I'll buy 50 of them. And then I always have 100% fuses. I don't have a lid, so I'll have to buy one of those really quick. Oh, they're in electronics. More modern cars, if you own the car, then in your dyno part of the shop, you can update those. So you can tune the electronics. This car's not one of those. So you fill all the liquids. Since everything's in, I'm not going to need to tear anything apart again, so I'm going to do all the fluids really fast while we're up here. And then we'll lift the car and pull out all the undercarriage. So I've neglected to show you there, so I'll show you as we fill this. This is how the filling works. The game doesn't make it obvious that something is full. So a lot of people, I've watched their videos, and early on this is what I did, was I just filled it like this and just kept filling it until it overflowed on the top. You can do that. There's no negatives for that. The only negative that you get is if you remove something without emptying it first. But the proper way to do it in this game is this one has a fill indicator, so it doesn't really count. But I'll show you when we do the engine oil. So you can see on the front there, most of the time you can see this, so there's the fill indicator. It's at max right there. But if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that the bottle tilted at about the time you hit that full mark. So the bottle's like this, so you're dumping it in. And then you see where the max mark is. Just before it gets there, the bottle tilted down. Saw that? So when the bottle tilts down like that, why is it not letting me get to it? Do I have to take this off? Oh, that's a serious design flaw. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that engineers do to people when they design cars. Alright, so in oil, again, there's no indicator. So it's just going to overflow is how a lot of people do it. But if you just fill it, so I'm dumping it in, watch the bottle will tilt down, just like that, and then I give it a little bit more and let go, and you're done. In the game, mechanically in the game, the mechanics are, once the bottle tilts down, you are given credit for having filled whatever that is. So the oil is now full, whether or not that's the actual full point, because on most things, that full indicator, the bottle tilting down, happens before the thing actually shows being full. But that's why I give it the little extra time. But that's basically how you fill. So we are done in the engine compartment. So it looks good. The shaker is all there. Everything looks cool. So now we lift it up. We do the suspension. And we'll do the exhaust while we're down here. So we can see all these components, missing a ton of stuff. We could put the gearbox on right now if we want. I'm going to buy a new gearbox. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. That's because I didn't, okay. So you have to click the component that you're working on, and then you have to click all the right buttons that so let's go buy this gearbox. And then we might as well mark at least the forward portion of the exhaust. Because we can buy those at the tune shop. So we need 2 of these, and we need 2 of these, and then we need to go to the gearbox shop, and we need 1 of these. So it's weird that it's a special tuned high dollar gearbox, but I keep a bunch of these usually on hand too, because the V8 starters are the most common, even for the non-V8 engines. But anyway, it's weird that you only get 1% out of a tuned gearbox. I feel like it should give a lot more. I don't want to put the drive shaft on because we're going to go tear out all of that stuff. But we do have these middle mufflers to put in, so we may as well do those. And then there are no, as far as I know, there's no tuned drive shafts. I don't think I've ever seen them, but I'll double check just to make sure I'm not making that up. Yeah. So, and gearboxes are just gearboxes. So, yeah. So we'd have to buy it here. But those refurbish, and we've already refurbished it. So, but anyway, there is that. Now we're going to work on suspension. So I need to go to remove again, and then we'll take this tire off. This wheel is in horrible shape. So what I do is I just methodically go through each corner of the car, removing all the braking and suspension and so on. Just like this. It's just a constant one click after the next. What else? Oh, it's this. Not all the cars have these sway bars. I do keep, that's another thing I keep a lot of in inventory. Anyway, it's just kind of a repetitive go through the process thing, one item at a time. And these are, all this stuff is pretty universal. So you're basically doing this on every single car. So these rubber bushings, I keep, there's two sizes, I keep all of those on hand. And then I'll just go over to this corner of the car. So let me show you another thing with lug nuts. This has the bad one, but it's way faster to take them off instead of moving your mouse around a bunch. So I just slowly, meticulously strip things out. I keep hub bearings on hand because every single car has them. Some of this stuff is repairable, so you just end up with a bunch of them in your inventory, which is cool. As you play the game, your part removal and screwing and unscrewing items gets faster and faster. So I'm at maximum right now. The slowest, or the starting speed, is maybe half this. So it takes a long time to undo all of these parts. But in the beginning part of the game, you don't have the money to do restorations like this. You're mostly just getting, like, buying junkers and getting them running and doing customer orders. Whoops, I forgot to mark those. That's okay. So you're mostly doing like client jobs in order to make money, and then you're also mostly, when you are doing a restoration, it's mainly a it's not a full like frame off like this. It's a replace the worst of the parts, get the thing running, and then sell it for profit kind of a thing instead. So this is a full leaf spring. There are cars that have halves. So we're just going through one by one, pulling all this stuff off. And I'll show you, we'll disassemble the tires and we'll go through that whole. Just a lot of tedious one at a time. Is there a fuel pump in there? Nope. So get that off of there. So most of the time, no matter where it is, you can get to the screws. You don't have to actually be seeing it. As long as you can hover over the item, you can remove the item. So you just kind of, as you can see, I'm just taking everything off. So I need to get closer so I can actually target. Because every single thing on this car is going to get removed, fixed, or replaced. So brake drums you can't refurbish. These you can. Some with those. Let's see with these. So yeah, you just go through one at a time. Take everything off. And now the entire car is stripped down for all of its bad parts. And then we just start working on them. So first thing I usually do is disassemble. These are double wishbones, so I'll just rebuild them because I keep these on hand. So we'll take these apart. We'll probably do the tires and wheels too. So I'm going to build new ones because I just keep these on hand, all the parts. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So you can see if you kind of assembly line things, the weight for the machine can be mitigated a little. When we remount these, we'll go there to there to there to there the same way, running this one while we're balancing the one we just took off. So I'm doing this, disassembling these and that, because we can fix these at the workbench. So we may be able to recover these parts so we don't have to buy new wheels. Alright, so that's everything there. I think I already did the battery, so I'm going to run back, take this disc off, put a new one on, do the crappy ones first, and then we'll start repairing items. So a few of these items are tuner items, so these fixed ones will just end up sitting in my inventory. I may or may not replace those wheels. I'm probably going to keep them because they are what goes with the car. But we'll see what kind of tires. You can't refurbish tires, so we'll see about those. There's also a recycling thing that uses this same mini game. It's in the back of the shop. I stopped using it because it just wasn't worth it. You can use the recycled stuff to boost your parts even more. So you see I have a star value right above it. This one has 3 stars. You can, again, the same mini game, and you can add to those using those parts. I get lazy because I get really bored with these because they're so like repetitive. So I'm not going to worry about tires and wheels into the end. I usually do go straight in and start building this again. So in real life, when you put one of these in, you have to attach it to the frame. In the game, it can float in the air. Whoops. Looks like I'm out of those, so I need to buy some. I should have a bunch of these in hand, and we should have just refurbished that, so might as well do it. And then I keep a bunch of these. So I am going to buy some bushings because we're going to need a lot of those. These are constant in the game, and there's way more of them than you think on every single car. I don't even know what the number is, but I think the average car in this probably has 10 or more of those. So I like to have tons of them. So we're going to put all those in, and we'll start doing the steering. So we've got most of the, so that floats in midair, and then more bushings. So when I've installed these A's like this in real life, I usually start here because it's the easiest bolt to get to and the fastest and the quickest to install, right? And then you stand underneath it and you hold it up with your head or whatever, and you get these bolts started, and then you put it together. The upper one is easier because it sets in place, so it's not as over your head working kind of a job. So we just put all this stuff back on, but now it's all brand new. That's kind of this is the gist of the game. I haven't really, we're gonna buy some new brakes. I don't know what I'll put on here, but they'll probably end up being carbon fiber because this is like a really a historic muscle car. So I kind of want to put the best of the best on here. So that's what we're going to do. So that's why I built the shock absorbers, because that's the next item, right? There's always on there. I mostly just keep these double wishbones on. I don't keep the other style that they have because the other style isn't as common. So I tend to just keep the double ones on. I'm not going to bother marking that because I already know that I'm going to buy those. In fact, I'll just buy them right now because why not? We're already here. So we go to the tune shop. I don't need these on the list. So we have to look these up manually. So clear the search. Go down to brakes. No, they're rotors, duh. So either I skip them entirely, or they're not where I remember. Here we go. So you can see the carbon ceramics, 600 a piece. This is the other one I use a lot. Classic cars. This is more of a realistic classic car option. But I think I want maximum performance on this car. So, and there's only two because the back is drums and there are no performance drums and shoes and whatnot. So anyway, so we put these on. I always keep a bunch of brake pads because they're all the same on every single car. And then same with the calipers. And then we'll put a little wheel bearing in there. And a hubcap. Alright. I don't have wheels, so I'm going to skip that part. We're going to build the tire and wheels next, after we're done with the rest of the stuff underneath the car here. So we put these together. I usually keep some of these on hand because you can refurbish them. I usually end up with a few. So now we put this in place. And then this is, in real life, this is not the first thing you would put on to attach it. You would put those leaf springs in. But, you know, this is a game. So there are some concessions to be made to convenience versus immersion in reality or whatever. There's people that talk about games like this and like, doing this or that ruins the immersion. And I'm like, what immersion? Like 0% of this is what it would be like doing it in the reality. But whatever. First off, this is way faster and easier than reality, but also just like you don't have instant access to these parts. They aren't as universal as they're shown in this game most of the time. There's a lot of little things that are not very realistic, but they need to be there because of gameplay, right? So I'm gonna need 2 of those. I don't know why I marked 2. I'll remember that I need 2. We can put the drive shaft back on. We'll do that. And let's go over and do this side. So we're pretty close to done. So yeah, got a couple of exhaust pieces to put on. Oh, gonna have to buy one of those. Trying to. So this particular setup does not have a spring up here, right? Because it's this. The half springs do. So that's a thing to remember. So we need 2 of those. 1 of those. And 1 of those. Okay. And my inventory is probably pretty packed because I haven't emptied it in a while, so I need to go in, and I'll show you a little thing that I also do. Early in the game, your numbers will change, but for me, I need a new fuel tank. For me, in the game, we put the rest of the stuff we can into place, and then we're going to need 1 of those. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. I don't know if I have just randomly on hand a tune-up fuel pump, so I'm just going to buy one. So we go to the F's, fuel, right here, fuel injector, fuel pump. We're going to need that. And then we'll put all this stuff on. And then I'm going to show you some quick inventory management because I'm thinking about it. So we'll put the fuel tank on, and then we'll click on said fuel tank, and we'll add the pump. Alright, so I think, I got to put this over here. Alright, so we're done with all of that. Now I go into inventory with the eye, and it shows you basically in the order you got it or are using it, right? So what I'm going to do is I've already refurbished everything I can. So what I'm going to do is sell some stuff. Now, you sell parts with the V button. You can sell individual parts by just clicking on them and selling them. But I want to sell a bunch of parts. So I'm going to bring this up, and then at this point in the game, I get rid of everything that's not at least 50%. You can go down, like early in the game, you're going to want to be more in the maybe 30%, which I think is the default, because you're going to want to keep those used parts on hand to do customer orders, but I don't care about that. So I sold everything and I made $7,300 because I had a lot of just junk piled up in my inventory. As far as I know, your inventory is unlimited. But you can see I still have 83 pages of stuff. Alright, so now tires and wheels. First thing I want to do is go in and look. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 of those Atlantas, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like we're going to be short 1. So I just right clicked on that. That adds it to the list. I want to note the size. It's a 15-inch. It's an ET0, which means there's no lip offset. And then we're going to get these same race tires, but I believe this car has 2 different sizes. Rather than try to memorize that, what I do is I look at the car description. You go to the front and it tells you the wheel size, the tire and wheel size. So there's only one size for the whole car. So I'm just going to rebuy those, but I'm going to 215/70s with 15-inch rim. So first thing to do is we go to the wheel shop and we buy this. We need it in 15, and boom, we're done. And then we go to the tire shop. So 215/70s, 15-inch rim. So we're going to go to the tire shop. I want the same race TAs, but I'm going to go with the BF Great Rolls. So boom, we need 4 of them. They are 15-inch. And then what was our number? 215? I think 75. So here's the thing. You don't have to put the exact same size tire back on. But you will have problems if the tire is too big or too small and your wheels do need to match. So I could put 12-inch wheels on this car if I wanted and big, huge, tall tires if I felt like it. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So if you have a certain look you want, that's great. If you want like a 25-inch rim on your vehicle, then you can put little low-profile tires on it and be fine. That's totally up to you. Now, I think I have these numbers wrong, so I'm going to go back and double-check myself. I had them right, 215/70. Okay, I did have one of them wrong. So we're going to go back and do this one more time. 4 of them. 215/70. Like that, I buy the tires. So now I have the tires and wheels for this. Now we put them together. So we need the Atlanta rim, 15-inch, good there. And we need these tires. Since they were the first ones we bought, or the latest ones that we bought, they should show up first on the list. But you do need to check, because sometimes that's not the case. So we take this tire off, we do the next one, 15-inch. We're good to go. And then while that's running, put that last one on here, and do this one to balance your tires. And we basically just repeat the process 4 times. Little things like this are part of the reason that I often do 2 cars at a time. You have 2 lifts, and you can do a lot of these a little bit faster. A lot of these things can kind of be, I don't know what the term would be, assembly line. Alright, so there's our tires and wheels. We're ready to go. But one of the things I have done on other cars that I maybe should have done on this one is I will put different size tires. So I'll put bigger tires in the back. Like this car is actually pretty set up for drag racing, so I probably should have put slicks on it. But I'm not going to keep this. I don't think I'm going to sell it. So I'll just go with factory settings. Just kind of go around, do each of these, and then we'll finish off that exhaust. So, whoops. Close enough. Alright. The game actually doesn't care if you do it in a star pattern. I just care, because that's some of this stuff is like just remembering. So I think that's all we need for the exhaust are those 2 parts. So we go to the, whoops. Quickly install that, and that should finish it off. That should be the entire car. I think we're done. It's been quite a while, an hour and a half. Some of this went slower than usual because I've been talking the whole time. So I am going to replace these plates, just because I can. So I'm going to slap some Wyomings on there. We can bring the car down. And this will give you an idea how the bodywork replacements go. So I'm on removal, right? And you just hover over a body part and it removes it. Same with the lights and windows and everything else. So you have a side window and a front part and all of that. So this car is in really good shape, so I'm not going to bother. And then everything is good, so let us put it all the way on the ground. We poured the fluids in, so the next step, I'm going to take it over to the test path, I guess it's called, but the test shop. So you can use this to do diagnostics, and that does brake and suspension diagnostics. We know it's all good in this car because we're at 100%. So we're just going to do a wheel alignment. So you can see, shows you where the wheels need to be, with the camber and whatnot needs to happen to make them straight. So there we go. And then headlights. So here's something I didn't know for a really long time. You have to do both headlights. I thought this was both headlights. This is only the left headlight. You have to go over to the right headlight, make sure that's lined up. Since we didn't replace those, they look to be all good. So we're done in here. Now we run over to the dyno. This will also tell us if we put everything back in place so the car is running. So everything's in place. It's ready for the car to run. So we start up this test. This is kind of boring, it takes a little while. So with the tune transmission, it should be probably 55% over. So you can see these are our new numbers. And then because we have the drag strip, here's where this is our drag rating. So this is an A-class car, which is the highest class you can have. So yeah, you're looking at a lot of improvement right there. So we leave that. Now you can go back here to the computer, and you can do even more. So we can change the gearing and the transmission. So if I really wanted to make this a drag car, then I would probably keep the 4-speed or maybe drop it to a 3, and then I would make those first gears a little higher and make the last gear lower in terms of the ratios. So yeah, you just work out what is perfect for the car that you want to drag race. I'm not going to bother with this one because I'm just selling it. And then last but definitely not least is the paint job. So this is where I take the car at the very end and I do the paint job. Since this is already good, I'm not going to do it, but the process is simple. You come in here, this shows you, this is your color palette, right? All your options. The factory color for this particular car is this blue. You can go here and these are all the factory colors for this car, so you can pick a different one. These are the livery options. So this already has a livery set. It will be one of these that's in here, right? So there you go. And then you can create your own color. You can change a few things about it. You can change the coat style. So this is a metal coating, but you can do like mattes and other stuff. So that's basically what we're doing here. We're gloss. You can add metal flake. You can do all kinds of stuff. These are the most recently used colors. That's the Jeep I did. This was the base color, even though it ended up being camo, old style World War II camo. And then, yeah, lots of colors to choose from. This was that station wagon, the base color on that. So, yeah, lots of options in here. I'm not going to actually paint the car, though, because I don't need to. And then from here, the last thing that I do is I take it out front somewhere like this, click on the ground, choose my camera, and take pictures. These end up in your folder, So you can see literally every single car I've fully restored. I have gone through and taken photos like this because you can, and it's cool. Some of the cars, this one I haven't, this one I will, but not every car, but some of the cars I also do that engine shot because, you know, you can. So there you go. Now, final step. So we can see everything we did if we want to. So you can see all the stuff, right? But this is what we added to the car. So we bought it at this price. These are the bonuses we're getting to get up to this price. The parts value, and so on, go up to this price. Now, one thing this does not include is what we spent on parts to get it up to this point. So actual profit is probably about $5,000 or so less than this. But still, that's a huge profit. And you sell a car, you say yes, and boom, there you go. Made a ton of profit. Up on the right-hand corner, $909,000. And there's probably an achievement if I get to 1 million. I hadn't even thought of that. So I should work that as a goal. But anyway, that is Car Mechanic Simulator. That's the full process of finding, buying, and fully restoring a car. In this case, fully hot rodding that car. So the thing I didn't show you, if you have the Drag Strip DLC, you can take your cars there and go race them. There's a regular track to take them on. That's a test track. There's also a speed track for, it's an old airport for seeing how fast you can go. I took the Jeeps there because you can just go off of the pavement and bounce around with them to see, just because you can. So that's pretty much it. You take customer orders here. This is the kind of stuff people are trying to get. It shows you what they want over here on the right. And you go through. I always skip the ones that say other tasks because usually they want tuning, and that's a lot of work. This might be a fun job even though it has other tasks. But this is going to end up, so transmission problems obviously. Suspension issues, that's pretty easy to fix. Same with this, it'll go along with that. And this. So this won't have an engine teardown going on, which is a good job. And then they want parts of minimum condition 49%. So whatever you put on the car needs to be as close to 49% as possible if it wasn't already on the car. So yeah, these kind of jobs, I tend to ignore this. I don't pay a lot of attention to it. If I don't have the part, I'm not going to go try to hunt it down. I just buy a new one and put it on. And I don't get the full bonus for doing that, but I don't care. You get paid in the end, and mostly at this point in the game, I'm just doing customer cars to get those treasure chests to find more barn finds. So yeah, some of these are kind of fun. Some of these not so much. So yeah, that's pretty much the game. That's it. So I think it doesn't show anywhere you get to name your garage. It doesn't show that anywhere once you're in the garage though. But my garage name is Fix It Again Tony Fiat. Anyway, that's it. That is the Car Mechanic Simulator. I just wanted to show you basically a full restoration. And that shows you most of the aspects of the game. Rather than do a playthrough, I felt like it was just, this is what the game is like. It was a little more important, more of an indicator. So that's it.